guys, this is Sarah from Makeaway Life Coaching. I'm the life coach here. Welcome back. This is our second week of doing videos on parenting during the pandemic. You made it through another weekend, so that's good. Here we are. I wanted to talk to you today about boundaries. Oh my gosh. I like to think of myself as a boundary queen because I'm super obsessed with it and I love to talk about it all the time. I think my husband would disagree because he thinks I'm a bulldozer who doesn't even respect people's boundaries. We can just agree to disagree. Okay, we got a question from one of our viewers who was asking about how on earth we're supposed to work from home while homeschooling. Okay, I'm gonna just be honest. The answer to this, everything with parenting, kind of age dependent. So my boys are 13 and 9. What's working in my house is going to be harder for you if you have a newborn or a 3-year-old. Okay, so you have to take what I'm saying and like apply it to your own kids and the stage of life that you're in. If you have any questions that come up about your particular situation, you can DM me on Facebook or Instagram, or you can just leave a YouTube comment below, or you can email me, sarah@makeawaylifecoaching.com. Okay, the key to working from home while homeschooling is boundaries. My 2-year-old son sent me back to therapy. Oh, my oldest. He gave me some gray hairs when he was 2. And I went back to therapy because I just knew I needed help with my emotions and all these things. I didn't even know I needed help with boundaries because I didn't even know what boundaries were back then, but she taught me. Anyway, I remember her saying something to me. She was like, I find it so interesting when women lack the basic boundaries. Like, I'm talking to my friend and the whole time we're talking, she's like, what'd you say, darling? What'd you say? Talking to her kid. And of course, I was totally that mom. So I was like, oh yeah, those moms are the worst. Like, who would do that? But it was like this epiphany for me. Like, wait a minute. I have a choice about talking to my friend for 20 minutes uninterrupted when I have a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. Like, what? So this is the same epiphany you need to have now that you are working from home. Children can understand boundaries from day one, okay? In the same way that you do not allow them to run into the street whenever they want without holding a hand. They understand that boundary. They might test it a few times, but they will understand by your response, which will be like either or crying or spanking or whatever it is. They will understand the severity of the situation and they'll only test it a few times. There's very few kids who run into the street every day until they're 18. Okay. So it's that same principle that applies here. Your kids can learn boundaries. I remember, I love reading about the way the French are. My kids go to a French school and I don't know, the French, gosh, they have some things figured out. One of the things they have figured out is, I remember reading this book when my kids were young about how women in Paris would go in their high heels to sit at a park and their children would play. And, Paris every street is a busy street, but the children just knew not to go in the street and they knew to stay in the area. And when I took my kids to the park, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Come back here. I'm chasing everybody around. It was like chaos and I had to wear tennis shoes because I had to run and it was terrible. And I just remember reading that thinking, how do they do that? And then the book actually addressed it. It was like, they just impart to the children that if you want to be at the park, this is how you're going to do it. And if not, we leave the park. And it's calm. There's no chasing because they're wearing high heels and they look beautiful and they have their makeup on and they're not wearing yoga pants and they don't want to chase people. Okay. So these are the principles we need to address for ourselves right now. Okay. I can't talk about every single age because I don't even know what your situation is. But here's the thing. You need to be really clear with your kids that there are going to be certain times during the day when you are inaccessible. So the way they're going to know you're serious is the consequence. They're going to test your boundaries. Just expect it and know that's what kids, maybe all humans, do. It's normal. So here I am shooting my videos in my room with both my children and my dogs home. Okay. I made it very clear with them at the beginning of this hostage homeschooling situation that when I let them know that my video is happening, they need to be quiet. The TV needs to be low. Are they watching TV? Yes, they are. they're watching Captain Underpants in French to practice their French. I don't care. Screen time is a great distraction while you're trying to work. Okay. Obviously maybe not for 3 hours, although maybe, but however long it takes. And then my rule with them is only the oldest is allowed to contact me. So they have to go, for some reason I'm acting like the dogs can go to my oldest and talk to him. Okay. The little one has to go to the older one, and the older one is the only one who's allowed to knock on the door. And it is for things like the house burning down, somebody choking. I'm always like really clear about what that would be for. Emergencies. Have they tested the boundaries? Yup. So the consequence for being loud or whatever, interrupting when it wasn't an emergency, is to be in your room for 30 minutes and think about how you can be more respectful of my boundaries. And only one of them tested it once. It was fine. And it's going really well. Same like if I have to have clients. I meet with my clients in my home office in our backyard. And so the kids have to really understand that this is not an area they can be in, and they don't need to be popping their little head in because they want pirate booty or whatever. And so I gave the same consequence. Actually, they've never tested that one, so they really respect it, which is amazing. But that's what you have to do, okay? It's the same thing. Now that you're going to learn these boundaries, you can use it like if you have to make a phone call to your mom and you want to be interrupted, you don't have to listen to your 2-year-old tugging on your skirt, mom, 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 mom. You can be like, I am on the phone. You will wait. And then you ignore them. And if they can't wait, then they go in a timeout, okay? My 2-year-old, I don't know if you know this, you can start doing timeouts at 2 years old. My goodness, we did 1, 2, 3 magic, and poof, I love 1, 2, 3 magic. And we had a playpen for timeouts so that I could actually not like have to supervise it. I hear about people who do timeouts and they make their child sit and they watch them sit. Oh my gosh, kill me now. Okay, so I was like the queen of the playpen timeout. It's just a nice little break for everyone to understand that mommy's rules matter. Okay, we talked about this before, but remember, these kids came to live with you. That's so important that you remember that. You are the boss of your house. Now more than ever, this can be your parenting reset, and you can take action to create the kind of humans you want to live with. Do you want to create humans who respect boundaries? Yes, you do. Okay. I used to be a teacher. Ask any teacher you know. They have time to talk right now because, I don't know, they're working from home. Call them up and be like, do my kids need to respect boundaries? And teachers will be like, yeah. I remember I used to administer the SAT when I was a teacher for extra money on Saturdays because teachers do not make enough money. And there's this area where I live that's like super hippie and pretty famous for nobody having any boundaries. Their kids don't have any boundaries. They're not raised with boundaries. So how would they have boundaries? That's something a parent gives to you, and that's how you learn them. Anyway, when you're proctoring the SATs, you say over and over and over again in the script, like, no cell phones allowed, no cell phones allowed, no cell phones allowed. Well, this girl, bless her little heart, I don't know. She was from this area where I live, where people don't raise their kids with boundaries. And unfortunately, that means your kids are going to have to learn boundaries when they're older from the real world, which is super bummer. So anyway, she finished the math section and whipped out her phone. And that little twit thought she was so smart. And she's like doing it under the desk as if I don't... Teacher 101, you can tell when kids are texting at the desk, okay? Just like cops can tell if you're texting while you're driving. Just don't think you're fooling anyone. So anyway, I actually like was a little bit stunned because I'm a rule follower and I went to Catholic school and like, what? I was like, what? Somebody's using a cell phone in here? So I very calmly went over and I took her phone. I almost didn't have words and she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, you're kicked out. She's like, what? And starts crying, which is annoying. So I walk her out to the test administrator and I was like, she was using her phone during the test. And he was like, wow, really? Because nobody does that. So anyway, long story short, a couple weeks later, I asked what happened to that girl. And you know what happened? The SAT banned her from receiving an SAT score for 12 months. Do you know that you can't really go to college without an SAT score? Or maybe you can now. I know some schools are waiving those, which I think is fine. But back then, like 15 years ago, sister ended up at our local junior college because she couldn't get into college. Why? Was she cheating? No, not that I know of. But you know what? She just couldn't respect the boundaries. We don't want to create those humans. You don't want that to be your daughter, okay? Life will teach them boundaries. The police will teach them boundaries, authority figures, if you don't. So do it. Allow this pandemic to be the gift of giving your child, empowering yourself to give your children the boundaries that they need to be successful people. Thanks for joining us. Come back later in the week. We're going to be talking about more parenting in the pandemic issues. If you need some self-care right now, I made an amazing list that I would love to send to you. It's for new subscribers to my website. You go to makeawaylifecoaching.com, and at the very bottom, in the subscribe box, you put your email address, and I will send you the list. And I only email people once a month, okay? You're not gonna be bombarded, and I promise you, every single email, I think you're really gonna like it. It's just really useful stuff. I hope you are well, and I hope you're taking care of yourself. I will see you later. Bye-bye.